I wasn't supposed to hear it. That's what kept pounding in my head as I stood frozen in the hallway. The voices of my wife's friends carrying clearly through the cracked living room door. I had only come back because I forgot my wallet. She thought I was already gone. And that's when I heard it, the whisper that changed everything. Just tell him you want to break up. See how he reacts. If he doesn't fight for you, then you'll know he's not serious. The words landed like a fist to my chest. My hand tightened on the doorknob. My first instinct was denial. Maybe I misheard. But then another voice chimed in. Sharp and persuasive. Yeah, test him. Men always slip up under pressure. If he loves you, he'll beg. If not, you'll see the truth. I couldn't breathe. They weren't just gossiping. They were plotting. And my wife, she didn't say no. She didn't laugh it off. Instead, she gave a nervous chuckle, the kind she uses when she's already halfway convinced. My pulse thudded in my ears. I stepped back silently, pressing against the wall like some guilty eavesdropper in my own home. Part of me wanted to storm in, demand answers. Another part, perhaps the weaker one, wanted to keep listening, because beneath the heat of anger was a colder question. Would she actually do it? The rest of the day, I moved like a ghost. At work, my eyes glazed over spreadsheets, my ears deaf to the chatter around me. Every time I blinked, I heard those voices again. Break up with him. Test him. See what he does. When I finally got home, she greeted me with her usual warmth. Dinner on the stove, a kiss on the cheek. Too normal. Too perfect. My throat tightened as I forced a smile, wondering if behind that smile of hers, she was rehearsing the lines of our supposed test. Over the next week, I became hyper-aware. Every look, every word between us I dissected. Was her laugh a little forced? Was she pulling away when I touched her hand? I felt like a man standing in the middle of a minefield, unsure which step would set off the explosion. But then came Friday night. We were sitting on the couch when she suddenly grew quiet, her hands folded too neatly in her lap. She turned toward me with this oddly rehearsed seriousness. We need to talk. My stomach sank. Here it was, the script. I just feel like, maybe we're not on the same page anymore, she began. Her eyes avoided mine. I don't know if this relationship is really working. The words were exactly what I'd feared. Perfectly phrased, carefully distant. Like she had practiced them in the mirror. I could have played into their little test. I could have begged, pleaded, made some dramatic declaration of love. That's what her friends wanted. That's what she expected. But instead, I just stared at her, my silence louder than anything. Her brow furrowed. She seemed unsettled by my calmness, as if the lines of the play weren't going the way she rehearsed. So that's it, she asked finally, her voice cracking. I leaned back, my chest heavy. Is this really what you want? Or is this just something someone told you to say? Her face went pale. That tiny flinch told me everything. She hadn't expected me to know. Who told you? She whispered. I shook my head. Does it matter? The point is, you let them plant doubt in your head. You let them convince you to test me instead of trusting me. Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt no comfort in them. My trust had been stabbed, and apologies couldn't stitch the wound closed. You don't understand, she said, voice trembling. They made me scared. They said sometimes men pretend, and I didn't want to be fooled. Scared. My voice came out harsher than I intended. So your solution was to pretend to break up with me? To watch me like some lab rat, and see if I performed well enough. Her sob hit the air, raw and desperate. I wasn't going to go through with it. But I cut her off. You already did. You said the words. You looked me in the eye, and tried to see if I would beg. That's not love. That's not trust. For days afterward, the house felt different. Quieter, heavier. We talked less, touched less. Every time I saw her, I saw the moment she chose suspicion over trust. The woman I married, the one I thought believed in me, had crumbled under her friends' whispers. The betrayal wasn't just in the words she spoke that night. It was in the fact that she entertained the idea at all, that she let others chip away at us, and didn't shut it down immediately. One evening, I found myself sitting alone at the kitchen table, staring at the ring on my finger. My hands trembled as I remembered how certain I'd been the day I slid it onto hers. Back then, I thought nothing could shake us. But now, even silence between us felt like an earthquake. She walked in quietly, standing by the doorway. "I've cut them off," she said softly. "I told them I don't want friends who poison my marriage. I'm trying to fix this." I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in weeks I saw the exhaustion in her face. The regret. Maybe even the shame. And part of me wanted to forgive. But another part whispered, if she doubted once, what's to stop her from doubting again? That night, as she slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My chest ached with the weight of a decision I wasn't ready to make. On one hand, I still loved her. Memories of our laughter, our long talks, the warmth of her hand in mine, they weren't gone. But trust isn't a light switch you can flick back on. Once cracked, it never looks the same. By morning, I knew what I had to do. Not a dramatic exit. Not revenge. Just honesty. When she woke, I sat across from her at the table. My voice was calm, steady. "I can't keep living in a marriage where trust is optional. You doubted me, and you let others dictate how to test that doubt. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." Her tears flowed freely, and she begged for another chance. But my heart, heavy as it was, had already accepted the truth. "I love you," I said softly. "But love without trust isn't a marriage. It's a performance. And I refused to keep performing." Leaving wasn't easy. Packing my things felt like tearing pieces of myself away. Yet as I walked out the door, a strange clarity settled in. She had tested me, and in the process she failed her own test. And that was the moment I realized. Sometimes betrayal isn't about cheating or lies. Sometimes it's about the quiet choice not to trust the person who stood beside you all along. I caught her friends plotting, but it was her decision to listen that broke us. And that's a wound no apology could ever heal.